Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah.
Or what's your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Jackson, 27, male pronouns.
Male pronouns. So you use he, him.
Yes.
Okay. It would have been easier to just say he, him. It's less syllables, you know? What are you here to debate about?
Gender affirming care for minors.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to, like, kind of maybe break it down and focus on, like, the different types and kind of see where you stand. Um, the most, I guess you'd say, severe type would be some of the surgical procedures, obviously, like castration
I'll just make it.
and,
I'll just make it simple for you. I just follow the W path standard. Uh, so whatever, like W path has set a pretty good standard on gender affirming care. Uh, Bottom surgery is reserved for 18 and up. Top surgery can be done 15 and up, dependent on your situation. Other than that, yeah, I just follow the W path.
and then what about the different hormone therapies?
I have no issues with hormone therapies at all because they've been shown to be safe and effective through like 50 plus years of research on them. So I have no issues with them.
I know, and I know that there is some chance of kids regaining fertility, but there are chances that they won't after hormone therapy.
Yep,
Um,
there's a chance that your fertility could be affected by taking birth control, but we don't tell women not to take birth control, right? We'll even give birth control to kids, right? Like fertility issues are a possible side effect. Yeah, the risks should be assessed by the parents. They shouldn't be assessed by lawmakers. As long as parents believe that this treatment is the best for their children, and they've been assessed about the risk and informed about the risk, and the child has been informed about the risk, and they've talked to doctors and therapists and counselors and endocrinologists and all these things, you have no issues.
Interesting. I would like to go to the top surgery. You said 15 is the age for that?
Yeah, I have no issue with someone getting top surgery at 15. I mean, we let fucking 15-year-olds get get boob jobs. So like, why would I care about top surgery?
Well, the thing about that is, right, I mean, they're under 18, right, and the top surgery is going to make it to where if they ever do want to have kids, they can't, you know,
Breastfeed? Okay,
breastfeed them.
they can use they can use formula. Okay, there are plenty of people that can't breastfeed. It's not a reason why we shouldn't uh allow this procedure to take place. And especially when we look at like the regret rate of top surgery being about, I think it's for top surgery it's like 1.2%. Yeah, I don't have an issue. I don't want to bar something for 90 what would that be, 97.8% of people, because 1.2% of people, 98.2% of people, 98.7, I don't know math, but I wouldn't want to ban something for like 99% of people because like 1% of people regret it, right?
Or 1% of people regret it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want to ban a procedure that typically has a low regret rate just because like there's a percent 1% of people that like, oh, this I didn't like this, right?
I mean, it takes away from, like, I guess their ability to fully perform like all of the functions that a traditional mother would
So
when they're older, right? It's a permanent change, a permanent. Um, I mean, you could really almost say disability, right? That
what?
that they're inflicting on
Because
their
they can't
minor
because
kids.
they can't because oh, I'm sorry. Because they can't lactate. They have a disability.
Um, yeah, if they otherwise would have been able to.
Okay, what's the issue here? I don't understand what the issue is.
It's you're taking a very essential part of motherhood away,
Okay,
right?
if I have a mother who is if I have a mother who is taking birth control while she like she just had a kid, so, and she goes on birth control. You know, like some birth control can cause you to have like lactation issues. Should we now bar birth control while you're like
Well,
recently have a baby because you might have lactation issues?
it does go back to what you said. That has some merit. That it's only a small percent chance, right, with birth control, but with the top surgery, it's 100%, right?
Yeah, but so what? Who cares? You're not naming something that's harmful. You're just saying, well, they might not be able to breastfeed their kids if they decide to have kids in the future. Okay, a million things could stop you from doing that, right? So that's a reason why we should bar this procedure that like a lot of people don't regret just because like it might prevent you from breastfeeding if on the off chance you do regret it.
Thank you, Boo.
Well, it will stop you from breastfeeding.
Yeah, but but why does this matter? That's what I'm asking you.
Because it's an essential part of motherhood, I'd say.
So every woman that can't breastfeed, are they missing an essential part of motherhood? You
they are definitely missing. I guess
you know
essential is
that sounds
subjective, but they are
ridiculous,
missing a
right?
part of it.
You know that that's a ridiculous thing to claim. I know you know that's a ridiculous thing to claim, right? That now because that all of a sudden like the lack of ability to breastfeed means that you can't that like there's this big piece of motherhood you're just missing and like what? That's
Thank
a
you,
bad
Boo.
thing? Like what?
Um, I think that would be. And I didn't want to get too much into studies and things, but I know that there are a lot of benefits from babies breastfeeding uh, from their mothers.
Sure, I don't disagree that there's some benefits to breastfeeding, right? Like, but this
Yeah,
doesn't mean
that
that
help the child develop more optimally.
I'm gonna disagree that they're gonna lead to like 100% development. Like are we saying that like all like single fathers who are raising their babies because XY reasons like now all of a sudden they're hold on we got Chair is here. What's up, Chair?
Hey there, I might chime in as a nutrition student, somebody with a bachelor in nutrition. There's actually something called failure to thrive, where in some cases, breast milk just simply isn't enough to ensure thriving of the child. They do not meet the weight requirements and therefore not the developmental milestones. So in many instances, formula is crucial, and it's one of the best medical interventions that has been invented in the newer century, I would say.
All right, did you hear her?
It was actually pretty scratchy. I got
You
the
were a
gist
little
of
you
it.
were a little scratchy, Chair. Can you just repeat a little bit of that again?
Yeah, there's something called failure to thrive, and in those instances, the breast milk just simply isn't enough to ensure optimal growth for the child. And in those instances, oftentimes formula is supplemented or introduced to ensure that the child is thriving.
Okay, sure. So yeah,
Failure to
that's formula is
thrive.
like a
I kept
supplement.
hearing failure to fries, and I was like, that's a weird way to phrase it.
Xenophobic.
No, my bad. Okay. You can respond now, caller.
Yeah, I think I got most of that, but yeah. So basically, you're saying sometimes, right, breastfeeding is insufficient, and you need to supplement it, but there's still like that basis, right? Like if breastfeeding completely off the table, right, in a lot of situations, it's still going to lead to suboptimal development, even though like in some cases it might need to be supplemented.
That's
Um,
not entirely true. So that's what I was criticizing. That's not true. There is certain benefits to breastfeeding, certainly. There is some nutritious benefits, but you can easily supplement with formula and gain very similar, if not sometimes, better outcomes. So it's very individual. And as somebody who's breastfeeding right now, I hate it so much. I hate it. And it doesn't make me a bad mom to hate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've never met a woman that liked breastfeeding.
yeah, I'm definitely not saying that makes you a bad mom. I'm just saying that taking that option off the table, um, by parents consenting to, right, their 15-year-old daughter having that option off the table for the rest of her life. I don't think that's their decision to make. I think that's the decision to make for an individual for themselves when they have capacity to do it.
You think a 15-year-old can't understand that if they make X decision, it will affect the rest of their lives? Because I've been 15 and I definitely had the capacity to understand that a decision I was making would affect the rest of my lives. There's a reason why, like when I was 15, if I was offered drugs, I said nah, because I was like, this is a decision that could affect the rest of my life. So I said no.
Yeah, I mean, I think they understand to an extent, but like probably
Thank
not
you, Boo.
to the extent that we would, you know, want them to.
It's okay.
I
So
mean,
why do we let 15-year-olds drive cars? We give them the ability to drive cars. Driving is absolutely a decision that can affect not just your life, but tons of people's lives. If we're saying they're not smart enough to be able to make decisions for themselves like this, why would we let them behind a motor vehicle?
it's again, you know, it's just only there's a risk, right? It's not 100% that you're going to die or get seriously injured.
Yeah, but what you're
just by
saying, I know
driving,
you're saying
right?
it's not 100%, but the risk here, right? The thing that's not 100% is that these trans kids who are getting these surgeries are gonna want to undo them. Hence why the regret rate is about 1.2%. So they're not regretting it. They're not going back on it. So it doesn't matter that they might not be able to breastfeed because they aren't going through this process.
How do you feel about breast reduction? Is that
Breast
something
reduction
in the
in
instance of
general.
well, if somebody has like enormous breasts and it affects their physical and mental health, not even in a gender affirming capacity, like a cis woman saying or a cis teenager saying, "Hey, my breasts hurt a lot. They're physically hurting me. They're mentally hurting me. I'm being sexualized by other people." Do you think that they should be able to reduce their breasts?
Well, certainly adults should be able to. And then children, right? I mean, I think if there are, of course, you know, other, um, you know,
That's more a yes or no.
disadvantages or whatever you want to say to their health,
Yeah.
that would be, you
Okay.
know,
And if you have a
a
breast
viable
reduction,
option.
if you have a breast reduction, there's a very strong likelihood that you'll never be able to breastfeed as well.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I would say, I would say like there, I'd be fine with something like that, you know, kind of being left to state legislatures to see if like they think that risk is
Wait, we should leave it up to the
unjustified.
states about whether the risk, not the parents of the children? So if I'm a parent who lives in, like, let's say Texas, where they're outwardly banning all of this, I'm just fucked because the state decided based on zero evidence that this was a bad thing.
Well, no, I mean, the state decide it's not based on zero evidence. It's based on the fact that it's like a permanent change for these kids, right? That is going to have an impact that we know that's going to happen, right?
That's
That
not
they're
that's not evidence
we're,
of harm. That's just evidence of some. You're just saying the thing that happens. You're not equating. So you're just saying that X happens when you do this, but you're not saying how X leads to Y. Y being the harm. You're just saying X does happen. Cool, right? Like things
well,
happen.
I
Yeah.
think I think that's like it's inherent harm if you're right. That result is a form of harm, right?
No, it's
Losing
not. No, it's not. No, it's not. If some
losing that natural ability of your body.
No, that's not inherently harm. Because if this was the case,
I think
you would disagree with a lot of other stuff that you don't disagree with. That is not just inherent
okay.
harm. You can't just say because I lost something that my body had that I might not even have ever wanted to use, right? That equals harm. You're
Javon, can I
removing
ask
the
I
individual
get it
aspect of
because
this.
whether or not like you end up wanted like you want to do it in the future, you will be cut off from having that ability to ever use it in the future.
Go ahead,
Like
Kira.
No, I
if that
was
makes
just
sense. So
asking
I
you.
think you're. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just had a question. So are you, or I guess Javon, like, should also the gender affirming care be up to the states?
Who are you
Should
asking?
gender for so what kinds? I mean, so I think like certain um like right there is, constitutional rights to make medical decisions for your children. So I mean,
Uh-huh.
um especially things that are I guess depends what gender affirming care.
Is that a yes or no? I'm sorry.
It depends is the answer, I guess.
Okay. Because I'm just like unsure why specifically you would leave this kind of decision to lawmakers who have no medical background. I think that if we should listen to anyone, it would be doctors, medical professionals, psychologists that have a better of an insight when it comes to making those decisions, rather than like some random person, because you don't need like any qualification to be a lawmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I just think some of these um different options for gender affirming care when they're essentially imposed on kids that don't have the capacity to consent. Um, right, especially the castration, and I think to a certain extent the top surgery and the hormone therapy. I think it is justified for lawmakers to say these are not outcomes we want you to be able to impose on your kids. Other
I
things
don't know.
like
I don't know what you
I'm
mean
looking
by
at like
imposed on kids.
well because it's the parents. The kid can't consent. It's the parents making the decision for the kid.
Do you think? But again, do you think a 15-year-old is so dumb that they don't understand what's happening? Because
I don't think they
it sounds like they
appreciate the full
do.
extent of it.
Okay, but then why do we
I think a
let
lot of like even
15-year-olds
adults
drive
don't even appreciate the
cars?
full extent of it.
Why do we let
What?
15-year-olds drive cars?
Because it's like an economic necessity, and there's just like I would say there's a liberty interest in it, and just freedom to travel type stuff.
So they have the freedom
But
to travel, but they don't have the freedom. Sorry, they don't have the freedom to make decisions about their bodies. What?
who? Children?
15-year-olds.
Yeah, not on. If it's like something so severe and permanent, I don't think
Okay, let's
so.
say a 15-year-old gets pregnant. Should we just remove the child because giving birth is a permanent life altering thing that can severely affect their body for the rest of their lives? Should we just say we should automatically abort every fetus by somebody under the age of 18?
Um, no, I would definitely not say
Why? Do you
that.
know what pregnant? Do you know that like when women give birth, it can lead to lifelong chronic issues with their bodies? Like they can lead to lifelong chronic pain. It can lead to bone issues. It can lead to so many things. This is a permanent life altering decision, giving birth to the child, that a simple pill would stop. Permanent life altering decision. But we're saying 15-year-olds are too too uh immature to make the decision when it comes to like a breast augmentation, but they are old enough to understand the implications of giving birth and how that will be a lifelong decision.
I think this comes back to, you know, the percent chances of these things happening, right? It's not guaranteed that you're gonna have.
The percent
Um,
chance of you having chronic issues after birth are like in the 80s. Like almost every woman has some sort of chronic issue that happens after they give birth because of the strain and the pressure that it puts on their body. Kiara, any chance you want to regale us with your tale?
Well, I almost died twice, just within like 2 months of giving birth, but that's okay. I have permanent issues, and which it's even worse for teenagers because teenage pregnancies are more likely to
Thank
lead
you, Boo.
to permanent life-altering complications. You're more likely to unalive as a pregnant person in the United States than unaliving as a policeman. Fun fact.
what was that last part? Then unaliving and what?
Can you repeat that real quick, Javon? Or did you?
You're more likely to die via childbirth in the U.S. than you are as a police officer. Mothers have a
Oh,
higher death rate than cops.
I'm not surprised by that number. But it's like 8 police die a year or something, right? I mean, or at least that's what it was a few years ago, I think.
So then, like, I'm just not understanding. I'm not understanding if you don't know the correlation. Like,
Between the two stances? No, I mean, I get it.
well, it's just that you made the claim that the reason why we shouldn't do this is because it's a life-altering decision that can affect their body for the rest of their life, and they are too young to make this decision and to understand the ramifications. That's for gender-affirming care, something like top surgery. But they are not too young to understand the ramifications of pregnancy and birth, even though pregnancy and birth are going to have, they're going to be life altering, they're going to have higher regret rates, and they're going to do more damage typically than like top surgery would do.
I mean, I think with pregnancy, it's like there's definitely like a big distinction because it's something that they've already set in motion. So like just having the government come in and like saying like you have to abort that, I mean, is pretty reprehensible.
I'm sorry, say that again?
With pregnancy, it's something that they've already set in motion.
What does that have to do with anything?
Sorry?
So as long as the 15-year-old sets it in motion, then they can go through life-altering decisions that will severely impact their body.
They've already made that decision they've already made that decision.
Let me just reiterate what's happening here. You have come into a logical contradiction. Your logic is contradictory here. And instead of just going, yeah, my logic is flawed, you're going, well, the 15-year-old had sex, so she should have to go through all of this fucked up shit that might happen.
I'm not saying that she necessarily should. I'm just saying that the government shouldn't be coming in, and I think there's a distinction between these two things.
Okay, well, I don't. Glenn, thank you so much for the $20 Venmo to boot the guest. Also, something's going on with my fucking camera right now. Give me a second. Chair, you entertain chat while I try to figure out what the fuck is going on with my camera.
Yeah.